Yeah, hello.
Hi there. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
I'm also good. Thank you, Jess. I'm going to have to step out in about half an hour just to get water and realize I don't have enough with me.
You go anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just you and me.
Yeah. Okay. Um, is there anything that you've got?
No, not particularly. No
Okay.
plan. Can always make it up.
Absolutely. So, can I ask you about some of the stuff that I've sent you,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you've had chance to listen to or not?
Mm-hmm.
So did you manage to listen to Stephen Bartlett interviewing that guy, that Brian Johnson, the
Mm-hmm.
guy that did you? What did
Yes.
you think, Jess?
I really, really liked it. I just like from a from a difference from a challenging the status to a challenging of the separation, like how it's like, why let the thinking mind run it? Yeah. And then
Exactly.
engaging in with AI, and from the point of, well, why not listen to our body? Why would we listen to our mind? If we're going to give one of them attention, why would we do that one over the other one? And so, like, I thought he brought great big points. I think he's on to something significantly. Is it something that I would want to do? Right? I admire his intention and his passion for it.
Absolutely.
And it's a great demonstration, a great example of someone dissatisfied with the path that they were on, and then found one they enjoyed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how we put it is, it's like, it's not for everyone. It's just if we're gonna train models, let's train it this way. It's like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That was exactly what I took away from it too.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, because it's so out there, it's so out of the box, and he's fully aware of it. He's so vulnerable, which means he's so open, and there's an enormous amount of humility in him. There's no there's no there's no there's no arrogance at all. So in fact, for me, I just felt like this is somebody who is really being able to realize their full potential. It's not in the way of meditation, but it's in the way of honoring the body in the most incredible way.
And learning how to, and adding a science to it, adding technology to it, adding in
Yeah.
a way, the proof and the validation to it. And it just, like you said, it's the potential that's there. And um, like, if I engaged in it, like, to some extent, it would definitely, it could significantly improve listening to my body as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they didn't talk much about, physical processes and systems in the body. It was kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It was kind of referred to, especially with the whole thing around sleep. But I would love to be able to pick his brain a little bit more around that, and because I'm sure with all the research that he's immersed himself in now, he would be quite close to understanding a lot about different systems in the body and how they work and how they interact, right, and how they communicate with each other. And that's so much what I love about Zach Bush. I mean, his research, Zach Bush's research, was on how organs communicate with each other. That was his PhD. And there's so much in that. And because I think when you really go and understand the detail and you see the complexity in the body, I mean, it's mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And you cannot but stand back and in awe of it and respect for what it is that and how it is that this got created. So for me it was again that thing of he's not trying to dominate his body. He's trying to nurture it and feed it literally what it needs. And to discover the full potential of it, from a Western perspective. I mean, I would love to see somebody like that get interested in what goes on, in meditation communities, and be able to do that kind of overlap. It would be really, really, I mean, I think that for me, that would secure the survival of the species, of Homo sapiens, if that's what we want, right? Now there was a lot. I got a lot out of that interview. I really did. I would do it in bits and then go back and think about it. And what I found interesting was his distinction between the mind and the body. And I think the body, for me, the body-mind is one. I don't see them as separate. I think they're too closely connected to be separated. But I understand the usefulness of our language structure in making that distinction. I mean, because it's more the unconscious mind, right? Which lives in the body. It's resident in our nervous system, and that goes all the way through.
Yeah,
It was so interesting to watch Stephen as well. I love that too, when an interviewer is so receptive. That's what I like about him, Stephen Bartlett. He's very receptive to his guests. He really lets things land, right?
Engages. Engages with them, allows them the space, and Yeah, he does a good job.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how differently interviewers, their different skills. And he really doesn't come in with an agenda. He comes in with complete curiosity. And that's a real talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's got a capacity to laugh at himself, right?
Mhm.
Just so wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. And to say where he's at with it. That's a real skill in that.
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Do you follow any of his other stuff, or Brian Johnson? That is.
No, I haven't. I've seen a few of his shorts, but I haven't gone and looked up his other stuff yet. And I probably will, right? Because it's valuable. Yeah.
I'm
There's
just
another,
curious.
yeah. There's another interview also that was done with Tony Robbins, and I'm trying to remember who I think it was Jay Shetty that interviewed him. I'll go and look for it. And that was also interesting in terms of, understanding more about, I mean, Robbins would probably agree with Brian Johnson about the separation between mind and body. I think he also would, because his routine, he uses cold therapy too, right? Not Brian, Anthony. So Robbins uses cold therapy too. I mean, he plunges into minus 52-degree water every morning. And I mean, it just blows my mind. I don't know how anybody can manage to do that.
Yeah, that's cold.
It's cold, and that the body can actually handle that. I mean, he is he's a very big man, and he's got a lot of muscle on him. So I think all of that makes a big difference. But still, to have the presence of mind, and I mean, the reason why he started with that was when he got diagnosed with his with a tumor on his pituitary gland. So Robbins is he's somebody that I would say just throughout his life, it sounds like it, he's always just taken the next action, and that's always taken him further, and he's never doubted his next actions, and that's amazing to listen to somebody with that amount of clarity, right? And for Brian, and as you heard, it took longer. But it was also, it took longer because he already had a family, and for him to leave the family in the way that he had to, that was, I mean, that's like a death.
Yeah.
And I got, I had so much regard for that. I mean, I've had clients that have had to do that. Sometimes when I think about it, as I was listening to him, I was thinking it takes it's almost like it takes more courage than to die in many ways, you know.
Yep.
How I would put it. It's unless it is so blatantly abusive. But then even then, you know.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much value in listening to people's people, you know, retelling their stories, those kinds of stories, because it's like I said, it kind of gives the best of what we are capable of, you know, and to recognize that.
Yep. Yeah, it does. All in the attention and awareness.
Yes,
What's in the way?
that's right. And from that comes intention, right?
I don't know. And the obvious answer, the obvious action, take it in the moment and
Yes,
live with what's there.
yes. Because well, I guess all I can speak to is what has happened for me when I've managed to really just stay with what I have in that moment and choose, as confused as I am, then to just get clarity on one part of it. Even if you don't have clarity on the whole thing, just have clarity on one part and move with that. Because everything is connected, it eventually does, it impacts, right? You change one link in a chain, you start to.
Yep. That's
You give it the best chance that it has, put it that way. Because
a chance.
Yeah.
It's a progress. It's accumulation of them. It's it's funny in all reality.
Mm-hmm.
How it is, how it isn't, what we do, what we don't, how we orient, how we should orient.
As opposed to how we could, you know. And then it all comes back to, well, where do we place our foundation, which is where do we place our identity? What do we see ourselves to be? And that's always been a really, really important thing for me. That's how I've ever managed to step outside of that loop. It might take me days or weeks to get out of it, but that's the way I get out of it. You know? And you know what I was thinking about also with this, Jess, was there was a talk that one of Sadhguru's talks where he talks about numbers in terms of cycles. And he said something so interesting to me. He said, when you reach 84 and 3 months, your body's attachment to the physical loses its grasp. And that was all according to the cycles of the moon and the magnetic pull, you know. And I found that so, so interesting. Neither of my parents reached 85, but Bruce's, you know. And even he, when I said to him, you know, I told him this, I said to him, well, it's easier for you. You don't, you know, you don't have that pull so much anymore. And he said, what do you mean? I said, you didn't know about this? He said, no. But I mean, he's tired. He's very, very tired at the moment. For me, you know, other people look at him think he's amazing, but I know what his energy was like, right? But there is also a loosening of, you know, what I always experienced as his grasping. It's very evident for me. And so when I listened to the talk, my first thought was, oh, is that what's happened? You know, and it felt like that what happened over the last year. So, I mean, obviously you want to get to that before. You don't want to hang around till 85 to get to that, right? But, you know, if you're in your 80s and you're having a, you know, hard time, if you can just stick it out till 85 and afterwards things will be a breeze.
Right? It's like, yeah, just till then. There's hope.
Yeah.
There's hope.
And there's the now, everything that it has, everything. We don't always see it.
Oh, no, we don't. Don't always see the choice in it. Don't always see the opportunity in it. You know, it's conditioned to just see the worst in it.
Yes.
Which, knowing there's a choice, which one would you choose?
Yeah. I mean, I often think of a dream that I had before we immigrated, and I was standing on a rooftop looking out over the ocean. You know, it wasn't a house or anything. It was like a jetty or something. But it was fairly high up, so like a tower. And I was just experiencing this huge vista. And then this tidal wave just rose up. And it just rose and rose and rose. And in my dream, you know, first I see this big wave, and then I'm starting to go like this. And in my body, I'm thinking to myself, oh shit. I don't know if I can do this. You know, that was such a contrast so quickly about where I was totally fine and had this expansiveness, and then this huge big apparition arises. And I woke up before it landed on me. And I was kind of okay. But I often think back onto that dream, you know.
Yeah.
Just that feeling of like, how on earth would I be able to do that? And that's everybody's, what would one call it? Maybe if you go back to biblical stories, maybe that's like the crossing of the Red Sea. Kind of, how would you do that? You know? Yeah. It brings to mind also I was just thinking about the picture I sent you of what the little boy put on paper plate for his mum. All the world needs.
Yep.
Right.
People in love.
Yeah. And how what he's experiencing is a tsunami. His whole like he's had the carpet pulled out from under his feet, right? His whole world has been turned upside down. And how many children that happens to, for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's been interesting to watch and get reports, because he apparently last night, for the first time, no fevers. He's been eating for 3 days, and he slept through in his own bed.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that. He's completed one cycle, right?
Mm.
Now he knows. I'm sure he'll go through more. It's not done yet.
What do you mean one cycle? What's one cycle mean?
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Well, he's experienced that disruption to his body, because his family has been shattered, right? So his body reacted accordingly, got really sick. And he's gotten through being sick enough to go out and do activities. And then for the first time, could fall asleep in his own bed, and sleep all night through. So his body now knows. So that's how, does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I didn't have that background. Thank you.
Sorry.
And you want to go get your water?
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to use the washer myself.
Sure. Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying to think of the book, and so Bruce bought a year subscription to Grammarly, which has got the AI feature to it as well. So I was wondering, I mean, I think the introduction, I like the introduction that we've got.
Mhm.
Right? I don't think that has to be reworked, do you?
No, I don't think so. And look at it again. It's been a while. Look at it again, put it in a PDF, and we've got one.
Yeah. So we had, I think we had 4 chapters,
Mhm.
right? And then you added, I think you added unaware. Otherwise, it was part of one of them. I'll go and check again. I can't remember that. But so especially the ones that I've done, because I didn't use AI to start off with.
Mhm.
So that would be good for me to ask him to put those through, right?
Mhm.
And of course, then I would read it again, go through it again. So can I try and summarize, like the bare bones? That's the word
Please.
that I always look for.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the bare bones of the framework is, where are you now? What is it that you want? And then the A and the B of that then would be, what's in the way? And what have you already got that you can use? And then inside that, we could put choice, even though choice is already implied. Awareness is also already implied, because you're being aware of where you are, what you have, and what's in the way, as well as what you want. So we can point all of that out. So it's awareness, choice, focus, and intent. Those 2 things go together for me. And then I think you take the next obvious action, and then you observe. The key to the framework is, in terms of what it is that you want, what is your soul's goal? Because we're not talking about wanting a Lamborghini and a house at the beach. So the things that will or that I see as always being part of people's soul's goal, is the experience of connection, love, giving, receiving, which one could say being of service. So then I would say that the ultimate impetus, I don't know why that word comes to mind, but that lies at the very base of being human is to be able to be in community that is supportive of self-expression and creativity and exploration. I think sometimes in the mornings, in that first half hour, 45 minutes, how much creativity there is in dancing with the silence and our words and our feelings and our activations. There's a lot that comes out of that. And that's because it's shared.
Yep.
We live in a relational world.
Yep.
That's maybe something, Jess, that we could think about in terms of the title. Instead of mental health, how to be happy in a relational world. Because then it speaks to both the individual and the collective. Just a thought now. And now completely forgotten about structure, but it's all structure, right? Because without the notion of structure, I don't think I could put those coordinates together.
That's how I wrote it out. As I thought it was a great backbone to it all. Yeah. And it's like, then there's the backbone, and then it's diving into each piece of that backbone is what becomes everything else as a result of it. And so if we were to say, it's like, so all of that was attention on how to do it, what to do, where to be with it. Yeah. And so if it's like, oh, to be where you are, what you want, right? And to look at why you can't and what you have. Mm-hmm. So if we say that is the strategy, that is the recommendation, what is it people are doing that's not that?
Okay. So what we forget is to, first of all, I would say, live in the now. and fully embrace, open to it. And that's awareness. You know, when people say, well, I'm standing here, there's nothing happening. And then you say, okay, what do you think's going on in your body? What do you think went on to build the floor that you're standing on, or the ground that you're standing on? What does that contain? So it's really about opening and with awareness, you know, using your awareness. That's your first step. Then I would think it's knowing how to collaborate with all parts of yourself as well as with those around you. But then I keep on coming back again to the fact that too large a section of the population is unable to appreciate the essence that they are. They don't experience themselves as amazing and beautiful and having something exceptionally unique that is necessary, that is needed. So it starts with our self-perception. That we undervalue that. And when we do that, we separate ourselves, right? That's that sense of isolation and separation. Those are big ones. And that people don't realize that they have a choice.
How do people know that?
I don't think they do until somebody says to them, where's your power? Where have you put your power? That's one way. And then they don't know what their power is because they've never experienced it before. But here's the thing, if you're in communication with somebody and there is a relationship that has been built, which has demonstrated acceptance, and appreciation. That feeds trust. Nourishes. And if they're in that relationship, those concepts are brought into that relationship. It's like I said to you the other day, you know, I often forget to trust that just by being present, the energetic field that I have when I'm present in my own power and open, that's already often more than enough. Sorry. It's often more than enough, right? Often don't need to do much more than that. Because what's interesting is that people process things as they speak to them.
Bingo. As they think of them, as they engage with it, and if someone's talking to you about it, it's about a 10% engagement. 60% if you speak something 6 times.
Yeah. So it's the engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's an engagement with spinning.
Or spinning, I would say resistance or frustration or stress or anguish, anger. Spinning that way. And spinning can also be in a good context, in a positive light.
Sure, in terms of exuberance, right?
Curiosity. Spinning curiosity.
So interesting. So for me, there's that edge of chaos with spinning.
And like aware of the default, is chaos positive or negative for you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which tendency do you have?
Mine is negative. Yeah.
It is taught that way for the most part. It's a tendency to hold on to keep away from the chaos.
Yeah. The only time that it's comfortable for me, and more than comfortable, is with music.
So you can have it. Yeah.
And I can welcome it.
And so it's like where more of those things that are the negative chaos can be viewed through the lens of music.
Mm.
What's your favorite thing to do with music?
Listen. Yeah. And move. Dance.
So, how to be happy in a relationship? Yeah. Number one is, where are you now? What is your starting position, starting coordinates?
Yeah.
And in it is to share the dominant strategy. Is it one of acceptance for yourself and for one another? Measure it. Yeah. And then appreciation.
Yeah.
For yourself, for your other. The relationship is always two.
Yeah.
Now, in that two component, in that two structure, what you'll notice is that appreciation and acceptance of yourself and of the other is void of a judger.
That's right.
A blamer.
That's right.
So what would have to take that place?
Take the place of the judging.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the acceptance.
Or a lover.
And compassion.
A lover.
Yeah.
Are you a lover? Are you a good lover?
Yeah.
How to be a good lover.
Yeah.
Not a judger.
That's a nice contrast.
And that feeds trust.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So just in that backbone that you shared, that is where you are and where you want.
Mm-hmm.
The choice is judge or love. Now, everyone knows, yeah, they would rather be one over the other, but probably we don't intend or focus on one or the other, and there's a default to them.
Yes.
And
That's
that is
right.
in whether your relationship, you're happy with your relationship or not, tells the truth of where you are.
Yeah.
I like it.
Good. I'm glad.
Good title. Yeah. Good structure, good bare bones, good introduction. You're going to run some parts through Grammarly then?
Yes, of the ones that we've already written, and
Yeah.
specifically ones that I've done, because
Do them
yours,
all.
I think, are. Do you want me to do yours again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See
Even
what
the
shows
one-
up. Yeah, because it'll tie them together better.
Okay. my God, Jess. Okay, so first of
Start
all,
with
we're
yours.
gonna,
Start with yours then. Start with yours. See what it does. See what you like about it.
yeah, okay. Now, really, I'm just thinking. I mean, I, my question is, and why I'm like hesitant, is because I don't know what the prompt is. So, and I can ask Bruce about this as well. Just with him writing his little book, right? He sweated it. It wasn't, for me, from the outside, it looked so easy that, it was so easy for him to do because he writes really well. I asked him about it, and he said, I had my moments of not knowing, what order and whatever. So if I were to be able to prompt it, then the prompt would be, if I want this to hang together as a booklet, how would you order it?
Good start. See what it gives you. Feedback. Yeah. What would you improve with it? Would you agree with it? Would you disagree with it?
Okay.
Prompt it different ways.
Yeah. So then I run it through the order of the chapters, in other words. So because the way that I think we did it was, I did one, you did one, then I did one, you did one, right? I can feed it the introduction first, because that will also give it a good idea.
Yep.
And then will you keep these notes?
Mhm.
And then after I've done that,
Mhm.
then maybe you can ask it to do it according to this framework.
Yes. Will
Does
do.
that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay.
And let's aim it at how to be happy in relationships. And let's think of it from we can put it on that website and we can put out the different parts and see if people pick up on it.
Okay. So do you want to do it as in, because your website is aimed at, okay. So, but Jess, so I guess my question around this is that, so the booklets are up to now, and I guess because of the group, my women's group that I'm part of, it's more aimed at the personal, but we're in relation, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we can
So
just say,
that title aims it, right? And so it's like, that's the title. And so anywhere, because it goes both ways with it. And so anywhere we notice like it's based on the individual, we can reframe it to be, oh, how does that fit in a relationship standpoint? And individually can be fine, but then we could just add a layer to it as in a collaboration, in a relationship. This is what to think about. So it just could be another add-on to it.
Yes. Okay, so
I like that better.
Yeah, and I do too. Okay, so then I'll do AI first with what we have.
Yeah.
And then for the couples thing, then we can add this of being in a relational world. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Fun.
Fingers crossed.
You're gonna get something from it. So it's like you get something from nothing, from everything. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
If it's crossed and there's some expectation in it.
I'm sorry. I don't know that I'll ever be able to live without expectation completely, but just to be aware.
I don't think there is. Yeah, I think that's all there needs to be, is to like, what is it aimed at? Because that it's either the intention or it isn't.
Exactly.
The expectation serves it or it doesn't. And if it doesn't serve it, then why is it there?
Yeah, you've jumped one step ahead of me, but I'll catch up.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, that sounds like fun.
Okay.
Do that. And then Sean's went through, was going to work on that first exercise, so we'll get some feedback off that, and then yeah, and then I'll frame it up, and it's not going to hurt to post it on that website just to drive traffic, whether anybody reads it or not. It's added benefit to it. It's not like it's going to take away from anything. So
Yeah.
it's not like we're working on being professional publishers here anyway. I mean, to publish a PDF is perfectly like writing a book.
Yeah.
And it probably will lead to something like that, but it doesn't have to be this route.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't go through the full questionnaire with him. I just did the first 2, right?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, then all of a sudden we've got then we got almost a month of work there just in that.
Oh yeah. I think so.
With those 7, right? So
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks
Well,
so
thank
much.
you. Have a great day. Can't
You
wait till the next
too.
one.
Yeah.
All
Bye.
right, Allison. Bye.